Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Unscripted and Unchoreographed. I am your host, Neve, and I am very excited today to have the amazing multidisciplinary artists of Honey and Lemon, Millie and Amy. How did both of you get involved in the arts? Especially because you are multidisciplinary, so I feel like there's layers. And also as well, how did you come up with Honey and Lemon?
So I got into the arts or into dance specifically in the really traditional way, which is I went to ballet when I was like 4. I started doing exams and all that stuff. And then around the time of that terrible thing when you go from like transition year into leaving cert cycle, you have to decide the rest of your life. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll try be a dancer, because I spent a lot of time at DYDC in Dublin and I loved it. And that was really the thing that was like, oh, I could do this and be a creative person. Because when you do all the ballet exams and stuff, it's just, you get told what to do and you just copy it and repeat it. There's not much like expression involved really. And then I did auditions and I went off to train in the same place as Millie.
So I'll bring you up to that point as well, and then we can mash back over. So I grew up in very rural Mayo, so I didn't come to the arts or dancing until a bit of a later point. I guess I wasn't really a child that enjoyed, sports or GAA or anything like that very much. So when I was 11, I decided I was going to try a drama class in one of the local town halls, and that's what kind of got me started on this path. And then I started dance classes with the same group. I eventually dropped the drama because I actually found it too nerve-wracking. I couldn't handle it. They asked me to count to 10 in another accent, and that was it for me.
Oh my God.
I can do that. I know, I do it, no problem. The 12-year-old me was like, absolutely not. So yeah, I just kind of ticked away. When I started the dance classes, I really found that was my thing. Kind of really went for it when I was a teenager as much as I could. There wasn't a lot available to me, so I just tried to do as much dance as I could. Eventually, I actually ended up joining in with the baby ballet classes because I'd never done ballet before. So I was the teaching assistant, but I was actually just a 15-year-old down the back learning how to plie properly. So then when I was 18, I auditioned for Inchoreographed to do the foundation course in dance there, which I did for 2 years, and then auditioned for the Scottish Contemporary Dance School, which is then brings us back up to when I met Amy.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And I suppose, I think I only did this because of the pressure of the leaving cert, but when I went to audition for the school in Scotland to train, I also did like a CAO and everything. And so I put myself down for courses that I probably would have been happy doing, but Jesus, my life would have been very different.
Yeah.
I think my top choice on CAO was to do pharmacy, which I did get into because I loved chemistry and stuff, which my guidance counsellor in school used to say it makes sense. It's like the creative science, I suppose. I wasn't very good at maths or anything, but I liked the idea of like putting things together into some arrangement. So, but I'm really thankful that I did get a place in a dance school, because I'd hate to be standing in a pharmacy now. Not that, I mean, they get paid really well and I'm sure they do love their work, but I prefer what we do. And I think up until that point, maybe the interest in the multidiscipline side for me was natural, because I was really lucky when I was a child. I played some instruments like piano and violin a bit. I wasn't very good at them, but I liked doing lots of different things. So I suppose dance was like a way into an industry where you could expand.
Yeah, I guess I always loved music. I was a real rocker when I was growing up. Went to all the gigs, wore all the fishnets and stuff. So yeah, music was also a massive thing for me. I think the more like the multidisciplinary side of things actually for me probably didn't come until we were actually studying, because we had guest artists that would come in and make work on us or do workshops with us. And I think I used to find it really nerve-wracking. And then we worked with one particular choreographer, Tess Lethan, who's based in Scotland. And she made a piece on us for our degree that used a lot of voice in it. And that was the first time I think I did something where I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. I think it probably showed me a way into performing in a way that I hadn't been exposed to before. And I think that really shed some light for me on like the possibilities of doing things more multidisciplinary.
Yeah, that's so true. And actually, a lot of those choreographers in our like the graduate kind of commissions we had, there was a lot of big asks to do text. I think we were graduating from training at a time where it was definitely expected that if you went into the professional world as a dance artist, you should be able to perform text or do other things. And I mean, I know some people in our graduating year made screen dance as part of their end of year work. So that was already becoming really common. And that was
2016.
Yeah. So 10 years ago. That's like 10 or 11 years ago. And I feel like now ask is even bigger on dancers, that you have to be able to open yourself up to so many different types of things. I think I had a similar experience with The Voice, not with Tess Let Them Show, but remember that like really terrifying project we had to do where we went to secondary schools and we basically performed that show about mental health, which is like a very common thing when you train. You know, I think people in drama school do it too. It's like the theatre and education bit where you make a little show and you tour it around secondary schools. And it is to be fair, it does give you some great resilience skills. But as part of that, we all had to prepare a monologue and we had to say it in front of a group of teenagers. And it was a monologue about our own mental health or something like, and I remember doing that and thinking, oh my God, like it was the scariest thing I'd ever done. And actually just being forced to do it was a really good thing. Not that forcing people to do things isn't good, but it's a big challenge. And actually we all rose to it. And then by the time we got to that third year of training, we probably felt like, we're not going to die if we get up and speak instead of dance.
Can I ask then, and that makes actually a lot of sense in terms of like the work you both make now, because I've seen a lot of your work, and to be honest, it feels very, as someone who's not a dancer, it's very accessible in terms of and it's, well, in fairness, it's kind of my taste, I think, as well. I just like that. But how did you come up with Honey and Lemon during college in Scotland, or did you guys both come home? Was there a bit where you were in Scotland working as dancers?
Well, yeah, we worked together a lot in college. Like we did a lot of creative projects where we would be in each other's. So I think we were very, very used to working with each other, and we lived together as well for a while. So we were like, we were very close, but we went our separate ways after we graduated. Amy went and did an MA, and I went and traveled. I did some stuff around Europe. So we didn't actually come back together until 2020 was when we formed Honey and Lemon.
It was a really shit timing because we basically, I think we like had this random chat where we were like, we want to start making work. Why don't we do that together? That would be really cool. And then COVID happened and we had our first residency in Dance House, which was given to us. What is that called?
The residency scheme.
Residency scheme. So you do new movements. At the end of it, you have to share back something, which is actually quite a good informal like setup to make you get used to the idea of sharing back work with some sort of little audience. And we did that, and we just like produced so much material. It was kind of crazy how much we produced in a few days, and we shared it back. And not immediately after, but soon after, we had some sort of lockdown.
It was the week after.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. The week after. But the one amazing thing which I've just been reminded of last week that happened out of that first residency at Dance Ireland is that a woman called Libby Seward came, and afterwards she came up to us and said, I'd really like to be involved in your work. Like, I don't know how, but I'm drawn to it, and I'd like to be on the outside somehow. And well, she's upstairs now in the studio, so she's still here, so which is great. So we've got a lot to thank for that little short week, which probably didn't feel like very much. It was just like throw some things together. And then from that we went on to get the
mentorship.
The mentorship awards, with Dance Ireland, which again brings us right up to now. We use that time to start working with Lea Anderson as a mentor, and she's just been like the most amazing impact on work, I think.
How did you come up with the name?
We had a few actually, and we actually even sent out a little poll to some people that like to get an idea, because we couldn't decide. We wanted something that suggested a pair or two things that go together, and that was just one of the ones that was on the list. And then we just kept coming back to it, and then eventually we're like, I think it just has to be honey and lemon.
Yeah, at some point you just have to decide these things.
Yeah,
and also like. Yeah, we wanted it to be a pair, and we also really didn't want it to have the word dance in it and we spoke to our mentor about this. It was like, as soon as you put the word dance in a company name, it just boxes you into that's what you do. And we kind of maybe had these ideas that we would do other things. We were like, can we have a name that it could be a band, or it could be book club or something, like it could be something, and we're going to decide what it is through the work that we make, rather than people deciding because it says Millie and Amy Dance Company. And it's a bit silly. I think we're silly people.
Yeah. I love it. And it makes you feel better, like when you put honey and lemon together. You feel better. Moving on to what you're currently working on now. Yeah, maybe you could, because I know you are both have taken time out of your busy schedule and are in the studio. So maybe you could talk about your next project and when it is, where we can see it, everything.
Yeah, and well, we've been very lucky to be the dance artists in residence in a couple of venues, but for the last 2 years, we've been working with Mermaid Arts Centre. And this time last year, actually, we wrapped on filming at the start of April last year. We did we created a documentary short on a group of community women, which is called MARGARET. And working with that group, I think fair to say it had a pretty big impact on us. Like, they were just incredible, and they just all entered the room coming from very different places, and the creative workshops that we were giving to them just ended up being this holding for everything they were all individually going through. So it was very emotional at times, but also just like the most fantastic group of women. Yeah, I think it really influenced us to start thinking about our next show, and like, I don't even know how to put it into words.
But it's like, the thing is though, it's so hard to put into words because it's almost stating the obvious. But I think working with a group of community dancers, some who never had really danced before, some were returning to dance, maybe they'd done it when they were younger. It like re-emphasized the fact that dance, like you said, it's a vehicle for these everyday people to be able to just get through something that's actually a really big deal in their life, whether that's divorce or loss or becoming a parent or midlife, menopause. I don't know, like all of these like big life transitions that people are just like out there in the world like struggling through. And we gave them a space. We didn't realize that's what we were doing, but we gave them this space to work through all that. And when I say states the obvious, I mean, I think most of us, although I wish more people up the top understood, that like the arts does that for people. Like that is what the taxpayer is getting back when they fund the arts, is their well-being. It's just such an intangible thing about dance specifically, and not even dance, just moving your body can be a release for people. It can be a way to get through whatever chaos and tension you're holding in yourself. So I suppose that's that intangible bit is why we're like, oh, we need to keep thinking about that, because we spent 6 weeks basically like crying every day working with these people, and they were making the most amazing stuff, but we didn't ask them to make amazing stuff. We just said, be yourself and dance. We thought we'll try and make a show about that weird, indescribable, can't put words on it thing, which is now a show called Death Biscuit.
How did you get there, you might ask?
Did you get there?
Margaret to Death Biscuit.
So we come from, exactly, from Margaret to Death Biscuit. And the tagline for the show, Death Biscuit, is dance for your life. So maybe that gives a bit more of an indication of what what feelings are coming up in the show. But,
yeah. I mean, I guess we're still working in the same manner that we create work in. So we're taking references from pop culture and copying and doing all the things we've done to make shows before. So I guess we're not coming in from a very kind of personable, like emotive way or anything like that. We're taking text, image, clips, like things from film, things from music videos, where people are expressing themselves through movement because they can't express it in any other way. And as we mentioned before, we're very silly, so it's not a really super heavy show. Well, it's not at the moment anyway. It's going to be silly, it's going to be fun, there's going to be places that make you feel something, and there's going to be, it's going to have it all in it.
Yeah, I suppose you say it is silly, but then I guess thinking back to like Margaret was saying, like the tasks we gave people, then some of them were really silly.
Yeah.
But I guess it's what the people do with the thing, isn't it? I realized making this show that I've always realized we are choreographers, like kind of like we're directors or whatever, but we're also we're like filters for these experiences. I feel like that's what our job is, the way we use pop culture. It's like a filter for the stuff. It's a container, I can't remember who, maybe it was Libby was speaking about that very eloquently the other day. But yeah, that it's filtering those experiences through lots of different people and through ourselves and through TV and music and comedy and the news and like loads of random crap. To give it some sort of new angle, that we want to look at it. Yeah, what did you say to Libby the other day that was, or maybe it was Robbie? You said something really amazing, you as a performer in this show, you're able to access all of this big stuff going on in your life, or maybe in your past or your future, we don't know. But it's because we've given you this little lens to look at it through, rather than saying, make up a dance about cancer, or we've said, try making with us something that's about this news clip that we found that we think is really weird, and we know there's something in it that's uncanny or that could connect to bigger, deeper emotions, but it means that performer doesn't have to sit with that stuff. I think is what you said. Yeah, but Death Biscuits, when does it come out?
On the 13th of May.
13th to the 16th of May. It's at Project Arts Centre. So yeah, I mean, essentially, if you're in the city for Dublin Dance Festival, then you should really come to our show, because it's not because we've made it. I actually think you should come for the cast, because we've got this very special intergenerational cast. Libby Seward, who's 71, is coming sort of back into performing in a stage environment for the first time in a long time, and she's just the most magnetic performer. And then equally, we've got younger artists in their 30s working with us who are experts, not in dance but in the voice and vocal work, like Robbie Blake. Yeah, so it's just the most beautiful mix of performers, and I think that for me is the real pleasure of making this show, is watching the 5 people that are in it do their thing. It's very impressive. Actually, let's just name call them. So Monica, how do you say Monica's surname?
Monica Munoz Marin.
Monica is a well-established choreographer, touring work internationally. We're using the phrase she's making her comeback, because that's what she says to the stage. Again, very powerful dance performer. We've got Millie, who's obviously an amazing performer. You would have seen her in Double Act by Honey and Lemon and various other projects. She's worked for Companies Ireland, for the past few years as well. We've got Robbie Blake, who is a vocal practitioner by trade, but is going to be dropping into their body more, which is amazing. And we've got Jack Anderson, who is a Scottish dance artist. Works a lot with artists who are multidisciplinary, who work in theatre-y dance and dancey theatre, I would say. Another amazing, highly accomplished dancer. So yeah, very excited.
If you had a magic wand or the powers that be to change something for the better in the arts industry in Ireland? Or maybe like you guys have, it's a very big and broad question. Or if you've seen, you know, maybe like a program that or experience that you've had in, let's say, Scotland that you think would be really well implemented here, what would that be?
Gosh, yeah, good question.
I mean, you've been on the living wage, so I don't know if you were on the artist wage. Have you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, well, they're kind of doing their bit there, I guess, because the applications are opening again on Wednesday for the new applicants. So that's super that it's been extended, and hopefully will help other people again or more people, and that it just keeps rolling, because it's just an amazing incentive. And I think it's very progressive of Ireland when it's not something that it exists in a lot of other countries, and the living conditions in Ireland are hard at the moment. So yeah, long may it last. If I had a magic wand, I don't have the answer to this, so I don't know what the solution is, but I would love somehow to make the arts a little bit more accessible for parents, because as a parent of 3 young kids, it's super hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's really hard to be present. It's really hard to do all the things that you should be doing to remain present in the scene and to be seen as employable, or, you know, I can't at the drop of the hat, you know, be like, yeah, I'll come into the studio tomorrow. There's a lot more logistics involved. I think, you know, in the UK, for example, there's organisations kind of set up at the moment that are really supporting and making sure that there's procedures in place to help rehearsals and artist practices more parent friendly. And I have been part of a group who have, you know, approached the Arts Council in Ireland, but I think we still have a way to go on that front. So, I mean, if I had a little magic wand, I don't know, I'd do something about that, but I don't know what.
Yeah. I mean, 100% agree, particularly working, like, not only directly alongside a parent, a person who's an artist, but also like other people in our studio who are parents and artists. It's considered such a it's a separate thing, but it's all part of who you are. And for some reason, we're still really behind. And I think it's one massive issue that's representative of the fact that funding in this country is really stretched for the arts. It continues to get more stretched as the cost of living situation gets worse. I mean, I saw a really great infographic the other day from one of the campaigning groups for the artist living wage, you know, pointing out that the thresholds for example, a bursary from the Arts Council haven't gone up in the past 5 or 6 years. That's insane. So like, how can you accommodate an increase in fees, more childcare costs, like whatever that is, more access costs for people with disability, if the threshold for the award isn't going up? I think, yeah, a bit, again, I don't have an answer, but some sort of big stirring of a pot would be nice. Because I'm like looking out into the industry and seeing money being spent. And then there's people over here going, we're doing amazing work and you're not spending as much of it on us. And, you know, we feel like we're making big impacts, as lots of our peers are, on people in the community and audiences and artists, because we're hiring artists to make our work. We haven't got enough money to do it. So that would be nice.
We're manifesting. Making it out there. Thank you so much for coming on and taking time out of your very, very busy schedule, Millie and Amy. And yeah, please, everyone go see Death Biscuits. Sounds incredible.